I mean, this goes back to marketing 101, right? Like, you got to understand your client. You got to have a clarity around who your ideal client is so that you can market to them in the way that's appropriate, find them where they're hanging out or where they're looking, where their pain point is. Well, hello and welcome to another guest interview here on the Profit with Law podcast. I'm your host, Moshe Amsel, and I'm excited, not because I have another marketer on the show, because we have marketers here all the time. We almost get sick and tired of them, right? But I'm excited because the marketer I have today, his business is geared towards family law attorneys, family law firms. And I think that this is a spot in the marketplace where there's a lot of lack. I've got a number of family law attorneys in our coaching programs, and they often they're getting lumped into people who specialize in PI or people who specialize in even in criminal defense, although criminal defense is another area that's really not served well. And you've got an opportunity to work with somebody that really understands your market or somebody who really doesn't understand your market, and they're just trying to get the phone to ring. So I'm excited to see what our guest has to share and the insight that he has for our family law firms. If you're not a family law attorney, don't turn this episode off. You know you're going to you hear something, learn something today that you probably haven't learned before. Every time we have a guest on, there is absolutely at least one thing that I learn new, and I'm sure that you are the same. So stay tuned. Here we go. Anthony Karls is a visionary entrepreneur, digital marketing expert, and law firm growth strategist. As the president of Rocket Clicks, a performance-driven digital marketing agency, and co-founder of Sterling Lawyers, yes, he's an attorney and a law firm owner, Anthony has revolutionized the way family law firms scale and operate. Under his leadership, Sterling Lawyers expanded to 26 attorneys, generating over $15 million in annual revenue. So he knows what he's talking about. While Rocket Clicks delivers cutting-edge SEO, paid media, and revenue operations strategies tailored for legal professionals. Host of the Revenue Roadmap podcast. Real quick, is that for attorneys or just a general for?
No, that's just for our family law audience that we're trying to cater to.
So another podcast host here. He's gonna rock this, right? But go check out Revenue Roadmap podcast. I never heard of it, but I will check it out after this. Anthony shares insights on sales, digital marketing, AI, and leadership, helping law firms streamline operations, improve profitability, and dominate their local markets. A data-driven innovator, he specializes in customer acquisition, branding, and legal marketing automation. Anthony offers actionable strategies for law firm owners looking to scale efficiently, attract high-value clients, and build sustainable business models in the evolving legal landscape. Anthony Karls, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. So real quick, just give our folks a little bit of a backstory. How did you end up in marketing? What, is this something more exciting or less exciting than practicing law? Just give us the broad strokes so we get an idea of who you are. But I want to jump into content, so we won't stay on this story for too long.
Cool. So the short version is, so first just to kind of adjust what you said earlier. So I'm not a lawyer. So I am,
Okay.
But I did co-found the law firm, help build it from the ground up. Spent about 10 years doing that. The business got to a size where every new problem was a very new problem for me. So I had a mentor for a couple of years that we hired. I had an opportunity to bring him in to the business and transitioned him into the role. And I took a lot of what I was able to do with the law firm over to the ad agency, really shift their ICP to family lawyers, so that we can go after the market pretty aggressively. Prior to that, it was a pretty generalist agency, not really focusing on anything, and their growth had stagnated. So that's kind of the quick and dirty version of the story. So it's still sit on the board at Sterling Lawyers. It's very good business for us and continues to be our flagship model on what we do in this industry.
Awesome. I love it. Let's jump right in. I want to get my hands dirty right away on marketing.
Sure.
What do you think the number one missed opportunity is for family law firms out there trying to grow and scale?
I would say probably the biggest problem we see with most clients we work with is they don't have good offers. So their value ladders or scaled offers is a concept in marketing. And what that basically means is, are you having microtransactions along the journey, so that they're not having to jump from I don't know you to I'm going to spend a ton of money with you in one step. So things that fall into that category are like on our Sterling Lawyers website, we have tons of resources where we're trading access to the resource and basically you're going to give us your email address so that we can start marketing and remarketing to you. But it's a very low cost transaction for you and it's high value. We do a lot of recorded webinars. We do a lot of live workshops. We do a lot of scaled offers in our practice. So it's an entirely fixed fee practice. So we've been able to like really tailor types of offers to the clients, and that unlocks a lot of growth. So, because not everybody's going to fit just your hourly retainer that you're trying to sell. So I would say that's probably one of the biggest ones just from like a marketing concept perspective. Secondarily, we see a lot of law firms come in that aren't focused in one particular area. I made that mistake when we opened the law firm. We were a generalist agency or a generalist law firm. We did a little bit of everything, which means we were developing an operations and sales and marketing and anything else you could think of for all of the different practice areas. And that's really not possible when you're a small business. You have limited resources, you should focus. So that's another pretty large area that we recommend to clients right away when they come in is get focused, niche down, identify what you're going to go after so you can be an expert and you can really grow and scale your operation because everything becomes more efficient. Because the problems aren't new anymore. They become predictable. They're similar problems across the same case types.
So the scaling of small offers, right? I mean, let's just go back to that for a second. Are you selling them the webinar? Are you charging like $27 for them to watch that webinar? Or is it a free webinar that they're signing up for? That's the first transaction because they're exchanging their info with you. And then you're selling them something after that. Are you selling a paid consult? What's the hierarchy of transactions that's getting them to that big, hey, I want to, go through my divorce with you?
Sure. So we have, I would say from like the very top from the very bottom of the value chain all the way up to the top, we have so like I said, a lot of free resources. So those are calculators we built, do it yourself type of content that all you have to do is exchange an email with us and you'll get access to it. The next level, we're going to gather a little bit more information. Those are, again, free webinars or free live workshops. So they're two very different things. So the recorded webinars are very topical. There's one each day of each week. They're on different aspects of divorce, but it keeps the client engaged. What we've learned, the reason we do a lot of this stuff up front is when we've done pretty comprehensive interviews with our family law clients, they're in the purchase process before they're actually talking to you on an intake call for about 12 to 18 months, because nobody wakes up one morning and they're like, all right, 0 to 100, I'm getting divorced. There was an issue yesterday. There's an issue today. I'm going to get a divorce. That's not the purchase process. So they're in the research phase for a very long time. So if we can add value to them throughout that process, we're going to win the deal. So we got to get to that point. And then after free resources, recorded webinar, live workshops, we do paid consults, both with attorneys and non-attorneys. So we have non-attorney sales at the firm. Both are paid, 2 different levels. And those are pitched by our intake team. After that, we have limited scope representation, traditional full representation, and then we have a red herring offer in our offer package that we show every client that we call executive representation. And it's essentially 2 partners on your case. We've only sold 1, but the point is anchoring. It's price anchoring. And what this does is give us a higher ROI on our sales conversions and sales process because we're working every lead appropriately versus trying to fit them all into just one box.
Now, when you work with marketing clients, are you helping them design this? Like, are you working with them on their offers? Are you helping them design the free material, the micro, purchases, and then the paid consults? Where does your job stop and their job as a business owner start as far as making those decisions in that purchase cycle?
Yeah. So what we do from a Rocket Clicks perspective is we give a lot of advice on where to start. So typically the best place to start, because you can access really targeted, cost-effective marketing, is those free resources. Then work with them on webinars. If they want to like, if they have the capacity to do live workshops, we would recommend it. Um, so that's kind of where we would start. We also work with a vendor that helps people write books. It's another offer that we have over at the law firm, because there's a lot of different ways to like just exchange information, and then a good marketer can leverage that in the marketplace. Um, and those are way more cost-effective impressions than just generally going to the market.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned that people are in the buy cycle of 12 to 18 months. Does that mean that when I start to do this strategy of having this staged approach, so I'm really warming up that audience for a long time before they come and make that purchase, does that mean that when I start spending money with this strategy, it's going to take me 12 to 18 months to see the results?
No,
Or are we capturing people who are at the tail end of that 18-month cycle as well, and we'll start to get that phone ringing pretty quick?
yeah, absolutely. So we've opened a bunch of locations at Sterling, and in our experience, it takes about 3 years to mature a market. Once we're at a 3-year point when we're executing our marketing plan, that's when we kind of see the diminishing returns of that marketplace, where a lot of the new growth is going to come from either branding efforts or uh, name referrals. So that's where you're going to continue to see growth, assuming you're providing good service and you have a good reputation in the marketplace. Prior to that, there's a lot of digital activity that you can do to get to about 12 to 13 to 14% of the market share. That's just strictly through digital. Uh, that isn't really tied to your brand or previous referral representation.
I guess it depends on the market to know what the size of that 12 to 13% is.
Yeah.
But let me ask the question a little bit differently. For, let's say, somebody wants to make the investment in growing their firm, they're hiring, they were a solo, they're hiring an attorney, they're staffing up, got the capacity to handle it. They want to get to $100,000 months. They're willing to spend on the marketing side. What is the amount of money that they should be earmarking for that expenditure to get to that run rate of, that level of client intake?
So you're asking, like, from us, they're a solo and
They
they're hiring their
they
first
were a
attorney.
solo. They just hired an attorney. They're about to fill that attorney's plate. Um, they've got some traffic that's already working, right? They're
Mhm.
established. They got to the point where they're maxed out. But we both know that if they hire an attorney, that gives them triple the amount of bandwidth. So of what they were able to do. Um, so they need to invest in marketing to get to scale that up to that level. Um,
Yeah, I
just
mean,
curious
so
on just kind of like an allocation.
when we consult with clients, we actually talk about percentage of revenue allocated to sales and marketing. We don't believe that should be higher than 12% combined.
Mm-hmm.
So that's your intake team, that's your marketing budget. So it really depends on what you're doing and who you have staffed. So if you're inefficiently spending it, you might not have a lot of extra dollars to go to the market to hire a vendor. If you're not currently investing in that and you're getting a lot of referrals, which is where that firm probably is generally, is there a fairly high percentage of referrals, probably close to 30 to 40% of their business. Um, they're going to, the advice we would give them is start investing about 5 to 7% of their budget in marketing so that they can grow their top line and keep their P&L healthy. Because if you can overextend, create a bunch of revenue, but you're not creating profit, you're just creating more problems essentially in your business because you haven't generated more real value other than you just stolen market share for low cost.
Yeah, I think those numbers are great. Um, do you let me ask you this: do you work with those types of clients, or do you work
Yep.
typically with larger firms? Because if I'm looking to generate 100,000, right, 5 to 7%, let's just use 7%. That's $7,000 a month. I'm willing to earmark towards,
Yep.
a vendor to, like, let's say it's what's your brand name? Rocket Clicks, right? So I'm gonna spend $7,000 a month with whatever Rocket Clicks tells me to do. Do you think that that's enough to get me to, assuming that we're making all the right moves in our offers, our packages, and all of that stuff, to get us to $100,000 months?
It is, so just, can you recalibrate your question?
Spend $7,000 a month. That's your 7% number, right? To generate
Yeah.
a hundred
So
thousand in
if you're
revenue.
spending $7,000 a month in the right areas, you're making investments in marketing systems. Like you're not just strictly buying impressions. So the way we lead our clients through that process, whether they're, we're working with one that's in uh, Massapequa, New York right now, and he's just a solo. He just started. He's literally a live case study that we are documenting as we're going. Uh, how he should be investing those dollars. So a lot of that is in local SEO, because as you gain traction there, you're going to start getting more business, and that's going to stick and stay, with low levels of maintenance. And then you can reinvest those dollars into uh, continue to build more marketing systems like remarketing, like paid advertising, uh, really help them integrate their CRMs with the platforms. Because one of the biggest areas of misspend that we see in law firms is their conversion tracking is not set up well, meaning they're optimizing at best for phone calls and web leads. And that's a terrible conversion metric to optimize for, because there is, based on our numbers internally, and I think we're very efficient with our leads, it's about 65% of those are not quality interactions, which means most of what you're optimizing for is not quality interactions, versus optimizing for having a very integrated CRM with your ad platform and optimizing for a consultation that actually resulted in a quote being given to the client. That's a very different level of quality interaction, and you can train the AIs much better in platform to get you a higher return on spend. A lot of people will say paid advertising doesn't work, and it doesn't work when you're not doing it well. So that would be, how I would advise doing that. So I think, yes, back to your original question, I think you can start with that, and you're going to basically be making strategic investments along the most optimal opportunities, so that you can continue to get return and continue to build your top line revenue.
Very interesting. So, what portion do you think should be paying for clicks? I mean, you mentioned that you're investing in marketing systems, you're investing in these longer term things. I mean, are you? So you write a book, or you've got these webinars or these in-person presentations that you're doing. But how you filling the room for those people? Like, where are those coming from? Is that more social ads, stuff like that, or is that still your Google ads, but instead of sending them to call the firm, you're kind of inviting them to take the next step in whatever that ladder is?
I would say there's two ways. So the direct, one-to-one way add to conversion is that's going to highly skew towards social, social ads, social organic. But you're probably going to get most of your conversions through typical organic traffic but you're going to be presenting them what we call our global conversion funnel, so that you're actually offering them the right thing at the right time, versus just trying to stuff them into consultation. So you're trying to maximize total value of all traffic, but you can fill a room with social, paid social. I would say that's not going to be as valuable of, like, the quality of audience isn't going to be as valuable as if you just rely on that, versus rely on more organic researchers. Because a lot of what we found when we opened a bunch of locations is the quality of client grows as the market matures, as you mature in that marketplace, especially in family law. So on the family law side, if you just think about it from a purchase process perspective, someone that's been served papers, they're real anxious and they're just like calling whoever is available because they didn't know this thing was coming. Versus so that would be the respondent. So they're going to come through a lot of paid social, paid search. They're going to be a lower quality, lower researched type client versus your organic preparer who's been researching for 12 to 18 months. They're the ones that are pushing the divorce forward. They're going to be a better quality client, and you're going to have access to them later on in the maturity of your territory, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think that, I mean, this goes back to marketing 101, right? Like you got to understand your client. You got to have a clarity around who your ideal client is so that you can market to them in the way that's appropriate, find them where they're hanging out or where they're looking, where their pain point is. So it makes absolute sense. I want to take a detour for a second. We talked a lot about divorce. I mean, family law includes a lot of other things like adoption is one, child custody issues, post-divorce, or even without divorce being involved at all, is another. And then finally, child support modifications. So if we look at those other areas, is it the same idea? Is it the same, the same strategies that you're using across all those channels?
Yeah, we're using a lot of the same stuff. So at Sterling, we don't do adoptions, but we do everything else that you mentioned there. So we'll do divorces, we'll do paternity actions, we'll do post judgments on all of that as well. And like the skilled offers that I talk about, those have all been tested in those places. Adoption might operate a little differently. Haven't studied that particularly, but that's not something that we've done at Sterling.
Okay. Cool. So what's the biggest challenge? I mean, if you're getting started with a client, they're willing to spend the money, they're willing to buy into this process, and do this, like what's typically the biggest barrier in getting them going? Like where are the challenges, or what holds up the process of moving the needle forward in the marketing? How can they show up? How can our listeners show up as a better client when seeking out this type of marketing engagement?
I would say the clients that ramp the fastest are the most organized in terms of being able to give us access to all of the different platforms we need. So they have access to their GMBs, they have access to their website and hosting. They actually own their website and hosting. A lot of marketing companies in this space position it as a service that they own the website and hosting, but as soon as you don't work with them, that goes away. We're not big fans of that. We don't think that's you're buying it. You should own it. It's yours. You're paying us to help you. So that's a big barrier, because a lot of times we'll have to like set them up on a new Cloudways account, get them skilled hosting so that they can actually own their site and have a secure place moving forward, versus, someone like FindLaw who owns their site and it's in their CRM and they really can't edit it. So like those would be the two biggest pain points. So access, and I think secondarily it would be being open and willing to tweak some things in how you are operating. I think what made us successful at Sterling is we didn't have attorneys trying to do marketing and operations and all the things that were non-legal work. We brought in counselors, advisors. We hired people that had expertise in these areas, and we were able to grow much faster because we were working on seasoned advice versus just opinion. A lot of us have I have tons of opinions on a lot of things that I shouldn't say because I don't have any experience. So probably isn't worth, the paper I'm writing it on. So I think that'd be another one, is how open-minded are you to learning something new and being coached? Because if you're not, then it's probably not going to work.
Yeah, I think our listeners need to hit the rewind button and just go back about 30 seconds and listen to that again. Our folks are going to pull out quotes for this episode. We need to make sure that that's one of them, because I mean we harp on this all the time with our clients here on the podcast, and it's this offshoot of this concept of who not how. Yes, it's a book, it's a great catchy phrase, but at the end of the day, the thing that's going to allow you to really step into growth for your firm is when you stop thinking of yourself as the solution and you're looking for it to bring in the expert for the solution. And I'm a big proponent of that. And I think that that's, it's really important. And I'm glad that you highlighted it, because that, I mean, you've experienced the growth, and you can hang your hat on the fact that, yeah, when we grew, it was because we brought in the right people to do these things. They knew what they were doing rather than us trying to figure it out ourselves. We spend way too much time trying to figure things out ourselves, and we don't need to, right? It's just working harder, not smarter. Um, I want to go back to just this overall concept and strategy, because there's a lot of different places I could put my money to work. And even if, I'm coming in and just saying, you're the expert, right? I'm going to come to Rocket Clicks, and that's where I'm going to be, whatever they do, that we're going to do, we're going to implement that. But where are you allocating the budget first, second, third when you're working with somebody? Is it is the website the first be all? Like, we're going to make sure that the website is up to snuff. Is SEO a key component on the front end, or is that something that happens over time? Are we, you mentioned, you talked about how, there is a place for paid traffic, but that's a lower value, lower quality client. So we really don't want to focus there. There's a lot of different places that our budget can go. And I think that if we try to spread it everywhere, we're going to get a little bit of everything and really nothing to show for it, right? Rather than really putting our focused energy into what's going to win. So what's the sequence that you're taking clients through? Like, okay, you this is all brand new to you. We're going to start here, then we're going to do this, then we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. And we're going to kind of just use your money to check off these boxes before we go to this other thing that everybody else is telling you to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we literally have like what we call our like foundational roadmap. It's about 7 months of work. It starts with the foundation. So we're going to audit everything that you're doing and tell you where there's issues. It's all going to happen in the first month. And then we're going to heavily invest in what's going to propel our revenue, like grow our revenue without having to continue to add more dollars to it over and over and over again. So that's why paid comes later. So we almost always, unless you come in and you're crushing it on local SEO, that's almost always where we start. We believe, based on the data we have, about 42% of people that are using search as a method, they're going to go through the map. They're going to go through those 3 listings on the map. So if you're not there and you're not investing there, you're missing a big opportunity, and you're working on a lower value opportunity. They might have quality clients in there, able to extract value out of that. But if you think about the difference between 42% in the map and then your top 3 listings organically in Google search, that's going to get you between like 8 to 7% click-through rate. That's a very different proposition. It's about 5x the value being in the map versus being in the first place organically. And then you're gonna see the same thing organic to paid. It's going to be about another 12 to 8% of that page. But you're going to pay for it now. It's not free. Like, you're going to invest in organic. If you're doing it well, it's going to stick. That's going to be an investment for you, basically an annuity that's going to continue to pay you clients over and over again for you to go further up funnel and start doing paid advertising and doing it well. So that's generally where we go. So we always start with local. We're then going to do a lot of what we call situational content. So most lawyer websites are fairly thin from a content perspective, and they don't answer a lot of the questions that people that are in that 12 to 18 month research cycle are asking, which means you're not getting those like good brand impressions where you're like delivering quality, you're delivering value prior to a relationship. And that's going to show up in your, what we call a business waterfall, where your closing rates are going to be lower, because like they're just getting to know you literally. They haven't heard you talk about stuff. They haven't heard you present on different things. So you're going to see a lower close rate in your consultation room. So that's where we typically go after we do local. We're then going to start working on some paid stuff, typically remarketing. If we have good, so if we don't have good CRM set up, we're going to work on that first, and then we're going to work on remarketing. So it's kind of, we generally have like a foundations of the first 7 months of work that goes out to about 12 months. And then eventually where we get every client in about 12 to 18 months, depending on their size and how much they're doing, where they should be looking at moving to some sort of maintenance package, because they're really not trying to grow their current territory. They're just trying to maintain and maybe become more operationally profitable. They should be looking at new territories. They should be considering branding. You don't need to do branding in family law. If you do, you can win more, but you don't have to. A lot of brand impressions are wasted in family law because you don't have the territory to fully access the branding that you're going to be doing through the different media channels that you would do branding efforts on. Or you're going to really start working on scaled offers and like start integrating those. So you're kind of going to get to that end point where we're either not going to really try to grow, we're just going to get more profitable, or we're going to expand our territory, we're going to invest in brand to grow market share, or we're going to invest in scaled offers so that we can create more value from our client to that marketplace.
Yeah, I love it. I love the staged approach. I'm hoping that you have that blueprint as a freemium that you can give out to our listeners, maybe perhaps. But I just want to go back to the first step. So you said first you want to win at local. Take me through real quick, just a broad overview of like, how do you help somebody win at local? And then
Sure.
we'll close out the show.
Sure. So to rank locally in maps, generally what you're looking for is, if you think back to your college days when you had to cite your sources in papers, which I know we all loved. At least I didn't love it. So maybe I'm the only one, but basically you're citing your sources. And what you want to do with local is the things that what a citation consists of is your name, address, and phone number being exactly the same in a lot of different places. So there's primary places that it should be. They're called data aggregators. They're very important because they feed the rest of the internet that information. And then there are citation profiles that are both what we call high quality profiles. Those are going to be kind of like your big socials, Facebook, Instagram, Meta, or TikTok, X, LinkedIn, kind of your big socials, your industry, your high level industry representation ones. So that's Fine Law, Justia, HG.org, and so on. So those are your high quality ones. And then you're going to have a whole bunch like yellow pages, super pages, so on and so forth. And there's hundreds and hundreds of these. So we have a list internally that we leverage. I think we also have it published on our website for people to see like here's where I should be. I think the top 100 are listed on our site and where they should be. And that's where I'd start, because it's just clean up your citations, get them accurate and get them consistent. And you're going to see your local map pack rankings grow pretty dramatically, especially if you're not in a like tier 1 city with over like 1 million people. If you're in a city under 1 million people, you're not going to have to do a ton more than that to make it really work locally. It's going to take some time. It takes a long time for Google to crawl and synthesize all that data in their local database. But once you do the work, Google's bots will continue to crawl the internet like they have for the last 27 years now. And you'll be in the map and in the index, and you'll start seeing more leads come through.
Very cool. This is really, really interesting, Anthony. I appreciate you coming on and sharing it with us, and kind of almost like flipping the marketing story on its head. You know, there's so many people out there who want you to just invest in SEO or invest in PPC. Like that's where the big marketers are going. And you're coming in and saying, actually, those are really good places to put your money at some point. But when at the beginning, you need to start here. You need to really win at local. You need to make sure your website is not thin. It's answering the questions. And then we go down that road of really, serving the marketplace, providing information so that you become the go-to source of that information. It becomes a no-brainer when they're ready to move forward that they're going to do it with you. And and that's really the key to your success. Once you've got all of that foundational stuff in place, then we can build out your SEO over time. We can build out we can put some money into, sprinkle some money into your ad spend, that's going to capture those lower quality leads. And they have all that other stuff, the foundational stuff that you've already put out there, to go back on. So, love the plan, and also that how you've differentiated. And might be why so many of the other marketing agencies don't have a ton of family law clients, because clients come, they try it, and they're like, oh, this doesn't work, and they move on. And the reality is it's because you started in the middle when you started at the beginning. So really good stuff. All right, as we wrap up the show, I want to give you an opportunity for two things. Number one, share with our audience one parting piece of advice or wisdom you want to impart on them. And number two, how can they learn more about you, get in touch with you, take the next step with you, whatever you want to share with our audience as far as them being able to connect with your brand.
Awesome. I would say parting advice would be, if you're trying to grow really fast, you're probably going to fall on your face. We did, our first couple of years, we grew way too fast, and we operationally couldn't handle it. We were great at marketing, great at sales, not great at operations. The ability for you to duplicate yourself into your team, into your staff, for them to grow, it takes time. And the more patient you are appropriately. Obviously, we don't want to just cater to underperformance, but doing it at the right pace you'll grow faster over time, versus just have these spurts that tick up and then you have a snap back and go way back down in terms of how your business looks. So that would be my biggest piece of advice, is if you're looking to grow, do it at the right speed that you can actually handle, because it can be an intense ride if you go way too fast. So, and then to learn more about myself or Rocket Clicks, you can follow Rocket Clicks on all the major social platforms: Facebook, X, Instagram, with Rocket Clicks as our handle, and then my handle's Anthony Karls. On also all the platforms. Our website is rocketclicks.com. Happy to help.
Awesome, Anthony. Thank you very much for being here, folks. We are going to share all of those links and resources in the resources section of the podcast or YouTube you are watching. Definitely leave us a comment, leave us a rating or a review. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're a family law attorney, definitely you want to connect with Anthony and check out what it might look like to work with them, especially if you're trying to grow and scale your firm. I think it's super important to allocate a budget for marketing, and one that is realistic, that is based off of where you want to go, not based off of where you are right now. And if you're trying to figure out how to navigate that, if you don't feel quite ready, that's something that we can help you here at Profit with Law with. So you definitely want to jump on and just have a strategy session with us. We can help you to figure out how to navigate bringing on a marketing agency like Rocket Clicks and Anthony and his team into your business to really help you to take that next step and get there. You can book that free strategy session at profitwithlaw.com/strategy call, I think it is. We'll put it in the resources section. I might have just screwed that URL up, but I think it's either strategy call or strategy session. So try either one. You should get to our calendar and be able to book that free session with somebody here on our staff. And I look forward to hearing from you, working with you. You can jump back in here next Thursday. We're here every single Thursday with a brand new interview with another amazing guest expert in the legal industry. Folks, we'll see you then. Take care.